Hi, Dwight. Declan Fulton from OliMundo.com. What were you hoping to take away from today's game, and how do you prepare for the match against Haiti?
Well, we know that coming into the game, although a lot of hype around the American team in terms of the results hasn't been particular gone their way, we were not under any delusion that the fact that this game was going to be arguably the toughest game in the group stage, and of course we prepared thoroughly, trying to maintain and frustrate the Americans as long as possible. And obviously, when you conceded 16 minutes, I felt that once we conceded, the game had settled down a little bit, and I felt that we would have been able to hold off America until halftime, because we needed to make some changes, some tactical changes. And then, of course, when you look at the goals that we sort of conceded, 41 minute and 44th minute, those are two gifts. And so at 1-0, we felt that we would have been in the game. And of course, yeah, it snowballed into, then from there on, we were always going to be playing catch up from that point on. I felt second half we did a little bit better, and of course created 1 and 2 chances, but the game was already over. And then when you reflect on, it's just a bad day at the office, I would say, and we need to put that behind us very quickly, because there's 2 more games to go, and with 2 more games to go, certainly we got to win maximum points against Haiti, and that will be the intention going forward. I think it was obviously clear to see that although I praise my players and I will back my players all the way to the very end, you can see when you play an international level, you got to be at a certain level. And as much as I praise my players as much as I can, and I will always support them in every sense of the way. Today we wasn't at the races, and it gives us an indication the gap at international level and to where some of my players are playing at the moment. We know there is still a lot of work to be done, and we will continue to work and try and close that gap as best as possible. But it's a clear indication that there is still a lot of work ahead of us to do. But you can certainly see the class in where we are at the moment as a country. Yeah, I think it was a difficult day today. We haven't assessed too many of the players. We know first half we were poor in every department. We felt that the Americans are, kind of, ahead of us in every step of the way in terms of, anticipation, in terms of creativity, in terms of taking control of the game. We just couldn't seem to have a foothold in the game, and from that moment, we was always up against it. We know we were away from home, and we was going to try and make it difficult for the Americans today, but we didn't manage, and then we thought even at 1-0 and we can maintain them at halftime, we were going to change the formation. It was already talked about before we conceded. Again, go back. You look at the time of the goal that we got. We sort of let in, or certainly caused our own problems in many respects in the 41 and 44th minute. You take those 2 goals away, 1-0. We're still in the game, and we didn't do that. So at halftime at 3-0, we were just trying to, minimize the damage. And of course, if it wasn't for our goalkeeper, it could have probably been worse.
Do you have any further questions for Coach Yorke? Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Brian G., Santa Cruz Voice. Yeah, except for the 2 conceded late in the first half, you had 2 pretty good chances. I believe it was 55-61. Is that kind of what you were wanting to do today, kind of pack it in and then counterattack out of it?
Yeah, well, we thought if we can frustrate the Americans as long as possible, that was part of the game plan. Of course, that didn't go to plan, but I really genuinely believe at 1-0, had we maintained that, you look at the goal that we conceded, it was actually gifted to them from our own mistakes. And so, again, I refer back to the time of the goals, 41, 44th minute. You keep American, then you're still in the game. As I said, we were already discussing changing the shape and personnel. We just wasn't at the races today. And maybe, there's a lot to ask for. We've been on the road for the past couple of weeks, from the Unity Cup all the way to the Caribbean, playing those games, traveling to Costa Rica. Maybe this was one too many games, but this is a learning experience for my team. They're very relatively young. There is some experience. The level that some of these players are playing, you know, you're asking them to step up from the level that they are to international football. This was an eye-opener for us, and realize that, you know, we got some work to be done.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Extra Time TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe.